Okay, so I'm going to cover a couple of things in this video. This LDARC Tiny X8M transmitter. Talk about that here in a second, and I'm going to also talk about this little conversion here. This is the AirBlade Super75, and so if you guys have any of the 2S whoops out there, like the Beta 75 Pro 2, the 75X, anything that uses like a whoop style flight controller, and even 16 by 16 or 20 by 20 style flight controllers. This is a very versatile little bottom plate here. Obviously, it'll take the props up to 40 millimeters if you use the whoop style flight controller, which I have here, which is that diamond shaped one. It's rotated 45 degrees. This will take the motors with the 3 screws and also 4 screws, as you can see, in multiple different hole patterns for different motors here. So you can put the bigger 75X motors on here as well. Those will fit here no problem. So if you want to do a conversion from your whoop style with little, prop guard ducts to non-whoop style here, this is going to fly obviously better for your rolls and tricks and stuff like that. Pretty simple conversion here. This is actually the, I think the 75 Pro 2. Yeah, no, sorry. This is the 0802 motors. Yeah, the camera's having a hard time focusing. 17,500 kV. This is actually the stack from the 65 Pro 2. So you got the motors from the 65 Pro 2, the flight controller, all-in flight controller, and the video transmitter. And I'm just using the Goober canopy from Newbie Drone along with the BI camera. I got rid of I think I broke the canopy on the original 65 Pro 2, and I got rid of that camera and just soldered on this camera to the camera wires that were on the video transmitter for the 65 Pro 2. And then I used the included standoffs here to raise it up. I added these are my screws. I added those screws myself, and the ones on the bottom that actually mounts to flight controller, as you can see. And that was pretty much it. I don't know, it took me 20 minutes to do the conversion, not that long. And then of course I swapped the props out. They were 31mm props before, and I got the jump fan 40mm props. So yeah, if you want a review on the jump fan props, I did that already. I put that down in the description for that video. But yeah, it's a pretty easy conversion. Flies pretty good. Doesn't have the prop washout issues that the ducted version of this has. So it's a nice little conversion kit. It's like 10 bucks. I highly recommend checking for you guys to check it out if you want to convert it to a non-ducted platform. And obviously it's a pretty stiff frame. I think it's like 2 millimeters. Yeah, so it's actually a 1.5 millimeter bottom plate. So it's pretty lightweight. So it doesn't really, it's pretty stiff carbon, so it doesn't really flex at all. So yeah, that's it. This conversion, the reason this is in this video, because I flew this with this transmitter. So let's talk about this transmitter. So I requested this transmitter because I thought it was going to be a lot different than the first one that came out. This is the Tiny X8 transmitter. This is the X8M, the updated version. And when I got the box and I looked at this, I was like, did I get the right one? It looks exactly the same. In fact, it is 100%, well, not 100%, almost 100% exactly the same as the original, with the exception of the gimbals. So if you look at these gimbals here, as you can see, it's a one-piece gimbal. It's a joystick style gimbal. So it has a very large dead zone in the middle, which, basically it's a slight upgrade from a toy grade transmitter you get like with those little bind and flies from like Eachine for like, $30, $35. And this is sort of a minor upgrade. Obviously, the reason I reviewed this one, and I'm not going to talk about this transmitter in great detail because I talked about this in detail in the other video, so this video will be also down in the description if you want all the details, because one of the things you can do with this one is flash this with FreeSky firmware, because it comes with Futaba firmware, and you can do either D8 FreeSky mode or D16 FreeSky mode if you want to do that. That's what I did with this one originally, but the only thing that's different is the gimbals. So everything is the same between the old version and the new version. The gimbals are a little bit different, and here is the difference. It's like they're calling this like a mechanical gimbal, so you can see how there's like a one piece that goes up and down, and then one goes left and right. And I actually took this whole thing apart, so I'll just show you some pictures of what it looks like inside. Essentially, it looks the same inside as the old version, but that the mechanical part here that's moving, you can see that there's actually two pieces there. So what does that mean in terms of flight characteristics? In the end, it is better than the first version here. It is markedly better. The dead zone is quite a bit less than it was before in the center, but it's still not a hobby grade gimbal. So I was kind of hoping it would be more, kind of close to a hobby grade gimbal, but it's not really. So if you guys that already have like X-Lite or Tyrannus or some sort of Spectrum radio, yeah, this is not going to be for you. It's nothing close to that. This might be good for like your kid or someone just getting into the hobby and maybe just wants to fly some tiny whoops around or something kind of small. This is fine. I mean, you'll see that I'm able to fly this no problem, do tricks and all that kind of stuff, no problem. But yeah, if you are an experienced pilot and you have a nice, $300 radio, this $40 radio is just not even going to compare. So yeah, no comments please on trying to compare this $40, just a tad above a toy grade transmitter to your $300 transmitter. That doesn't make any sense. I think that is just kind of comical if you try to do that. But yeah, this is going to be, for someone really budget conscious, maybe doesn't have anything. So you're gonna probably find these in some sort of ready to fly kits in the future. I already know that some of these transmitters are already in some certain ready to fly kits for people starting out. That's fine if you're starting out. You can get used to this. I think that I could, if this were the only transmitter I had, I'm sure I could eventually get used to flying very proficiently with this one. It's just a matter of adjusting your flying style and your rates on the whatever you got. And yeah, it's a serviceable transmitter. A couple of things to note. I did flash this with D16. You can bind up multiple models that don't have the telemetry. So like any of the SPI receivers, the XM, XM Plus, any of those type of receivers that are in D16 mode. I think I was able to bind up like 3 or 4 of these, even though there's no like screen or model memory or anything like that. The receiver or the transmitter ID is stored inside the receiver, so you can bind up multiple models. Of course, you need to flash it with the D16 firmware. You can download that from, there's a GitHub site. I'll put that down in the description, and then there's also instructions on how to do that. It's pretty easy. You just have to download a piece of software, install a driver, and then download the firmware, and then I think there's like I think you have to power on this thing by pressing down this button, something like that, and then it'll go into this update mode, and then you just commit the update from the Windows app, and then it'll just flash the transmitter, and then after you power cycle it, you'll be in free sky mode. But it does come in Futaba mode out of the box, and be aware of that. Just have a rechargeable battery inside. I'm not going to talk about this because in detail because I already did in the other video, so like I said, check the description down below. Everything else is exactly the same. Now you notice here that I have these 3D printed gimbal sticks on here. Used those instead of the ones that it came with. Basically the same ones like this one here. There's also a longer one and a shorter one. So I just built this up in Tinkercad. I took something that I just remixed from Thingiverse, and I already put that up. So I'll put a link to this as well if you want to print this. You can use this as an alternative gimbal stick. It's pretty nice. I like the little the stick feel of this one here versus the stock plastic ones. So if you do get this, you're welcome to download the file and print these out. Yeah, or get someone to print it for you. And yeah, it's an okay transmitter if you're starting out, don't have anything at all. But if you are an experienced pilot and have a $300 transmitter, this is not for you. So I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse there, but yeah, don't get this if you're one of those guys. Otherwise, yeah, it's worth trying out. I think it's an upgrade, definitely an upgrade over the old one. Okay, so I'm going to show you some flight footage of me flying this guy around with this transmitter. The tune on this, I need to retune this because I left the tune on there when I was flying around with the 31mm prop with the ducks. Yeah, so the tune isn't so great on this one. So you'll notice that. I know I didn't tune it. sorry. You'll still get a pretty good idea of how it flies with this transmitter, regardless of the prop wash oscillations. That's not from the transmitter, it's from the PID tune. So keep that in mind, and here's the flight footage. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.